I shot a film that got accepted to Slamdance this year, and we shot it in 36 hours. And today, we're talking about how I lit it. Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Nate Caywood. I'm a Los Angeles-based cinematographer, and I created this channel with the intention of breaking down the work of some of the best cinematographers in the world in the hopes that I can reverse engineer what they're doing and steal their tricks and get better. And hopefully you guys can learn something along the way as well. So today, I am going to do things a little bit differently. We're analyzing my own work. So this past year, my dear friend Brett Moline, who is a writer, director, actor based here in Los Angeles, California, who also has his own YouTube channel called Genuine Jerks. It's a sketch group. It's incredibly funny. And I've actually had the privilege of shooting a bunch of sketches for them too, so please go over and support. So Brett approached me this year to shoot a film for him that he was going to be submitting to the Easter Seals Disability Filmmakers Challenge. The rules of the competition is that it needs to be completed within 5 days, and then he told me the shoot schedule that he was able to lock down the locations for, and it turned out that we were going to need to shoot the film in about 36 hours. The film was submitted to Slamdance, and we heard just a couple weeks ago that it was accepted, and so we're going to be going to Slamdance with the film. And I wanted to take this opportunity to look at some of my work so that you guys could see what I'm trying to do narratively and understand where I'm at in my journey, and hopefully we can have conversations about the images. Okay, let's get into them. Okay, so the premise of this film is that this is the lead, my buddy Brett. It's about how strangers keep thinking that he is a different disabled person that they have known in their lives, but he is not that person. And it's all about mistaken identity, which is why the name of the film is called Wrong Guy. I'm the wrong guy, basically. That's the premise. Okay, so this is the cold open of the film, where the lead character, Brett, is just walking in a park. So I did not location scout this location. Brett basically sent me a pin on Google Maps, and it was like, hey, show up here at this time. This is where we need to shoot. We're going to steal these shots. We did not have permits for this. I had a tripod, which is always a really scary thing in Los Angeles to do. I shot this on the Sony FX6, a Sony 28-135 full frame power zoom lens. This particular shot we shot on. Because it's run and gun, because we didn't have any support really, this was just trying to find the frame that told the story, which is she approaches him as he's walking closer towards camera. We have it on a long lens, a longish lens, so that it feels sort of observational as they get closer together. I chose to put them on the part of the path where there are trees that are sort of like creating all this dappled sunlight that you can see down here, so that I didn't have time or the crew or the resources to be able to fly any frames or anything above them, because again, we were stealing these shots, so it just couldn't be done. My thing was, can I put them in shade so that I can expose for their skin tones in a way that feels reasonable, and can I backlight them? And the answer was, luckily I was able to do that. The sun was like sort of back here. As you can see, it's really hard hitting her on the shoulder, back of the head, hitting him on the shoulder, back of the head, as well. So to me, that's sort of giving them the opportunity to pop against the background, even though the background is still quite hot. It's like it edges them a little bit. We just had to lean into it. This is the coverage that we got for this scene. Again, the sun is over here, coming this direction, and is raking across Ruha's face, and obviously she got a little kiss here, which is not ideal. If we had more time and more resource ability, I probably would have had her step this direction but clock this way a little bit so that she's tilting a little bit, and I could reframe so that she didn't get this catch on her nose or on the chin, because that's not the most flattering. So one thing that you can notice in her eyes is that the only thing that we had for any of the exterior shoots was a 4x bleached Muzz floppy. I had our PA Brendan hold the floppy right here underneath her eyes to bring level up this way. You can sort of see it here. Like right here is the easiest place to see it. This kiss right here on her cheek. So that was to just bring up level, because as I'm exposing for this hot sun right here, she's sort of getting dark, right? We just need to bring a little bit of level back up. So we were bouncing it that way. And that's what was able to help us key her face. And you can see like they're on a brown dirt path, right? So you can see as well as the bright sunlight is just bouncing and reflecting light back up to her as well. So this bounce was just like a supplement. And all we really had is like I had a solid floppy, like a 4x4 floppy, so in case I needed to create negative fill, and I had a bleached muslin floppy, and those are the only two things that we did for the exterior shots. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so here we are. This is Brett's coverage. So he is directly hit with sunlight in this, and I wanted to do that on purpose because I wanted it to feel natural. Like a lot of times what you might do is like take a quarter grid or something like that and put a 6x frame up here so that the sun comes through the quarter grid and then softens up so that it still feels like sunlight, but it's like not quite as harsh. But again, we didn't have time for that. I think I just sort of moved him on this axis until we found a spot that we felt was like representative of that would match the wide. And this is just with nothing. Like we didn't use the bounce at all for him because again, he's getting direct sunlight, and I could have brought in the negative fill, like the solid, and had the PA Hollywood it and probably crush this a little bit more, bring it down. But I don't think, like at the time I was like, this, it didn't feel necessary. This feels natural to me, right? I actually really like the way that these images ended up turning out for how quickly we had to shoot them and for the lack of resource that we had, because again, it was just me and a PA shooting this. Okay, let's move on to an interior scene. So this is the one of two locations that we had to shoot this film. This is a bar that we had to shoot after hours. So they closed at 10 p.m. We loaded in at 10 p.m. and we shot from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning. And then the next day we went and shot the outside scenes that I just showed you. Okay. One thing that's difficult that I'm always learning, and it's just hard when you don't have any production design control, is that white walls are incredibly difficult to work with when they are behind your characters because they are just so reflective of stuff. Of everything. I have been on a kick where I've been wanting to light things more with tungsten and less with LED, but it's important to have like a good balance. So you can see right here that there's two shadows happening right up there, and that is because I had I think it was a 300, but it could also have been a 650 Ari Fresnel tungsten light just shooting this direction. And I obviously color balanced to 3200 Kelvin here, which causes this sort of daylight edge light that we created as a practical or something coming in from the outside. You can see that edge, that there is I think it was a 4-foot tube. Actually, let me do this. So I think there's a 4-foot tube that was like sort of daylight balanced. There was a tungsten Fresnel shooting this direction. You can see that edge light here, which is sort of bringing up this level back here. And I brought in the Christmas lights just to run the length of the back of the booth banister, because I was like, we need to have some sort of depth when we come around for coverage if we can. And above this fixture, or above them, I flew an Aputure 300X with a spot mount on it, and the spot mount we diffused with 216 gel, and we put that on a menace arm on a Mambo stand outside of the frame so that it is boomed up just out of frame right here, which is giving them this level on their faces. That, like, you can see the shadow on Brett from Brett's glasses right here. That is what the 300X is creating. So this is the establishing 3 top table shot. And if I'm being critical of this, it's I wish I had more control. I wish that this wall was down a lot more. I wish that this color separation was cleaner. Like, I wish that I would have had a flag to cut this off of the wall. I wish that this would have been cut off the wall so that we get more. This is darker. These places are darker because I feel like our eyes kind of just go to this whole space. I do like that he's sort of getting this edge right here, and it's a little bit fronty on her, but she has it too as she's looking towards this gentleman who comes in, and Actually looking at this reminds me, it's like not only did we have the 300, but we also had another 2-foot tube pushing blue light this direction as well, because you can see it on the back of his shirt, just to create a little separation from the dark booth. That was the goal anyway. So great. Just a reminder, shot this film in 36 hours. On the night in the bar that we had, I had a gaffer who I work with a lot and really love. His name's Luke. And I had a PA, like Swing, who ended up coming out on the daylight shoot with us as well. And that was Brandon Newt, and I was really grateful for him. Okay, so this is a 2-shot that we tried to establish, right? Because this is a comedy. A lot of this plays in locked off medium wide shots so that the tone and the jokes can play in the edit versus it being about intimacy or us being super close, right? Because it's about sort of reaction. That's where the joke comes from. Again, you can see here that this is this sort of like blue cast light is on edged on him. That was the 4-foot Amaran RGB tube, probably set to 5600. And we still have the key light, which is the 300 set at 3200 Kelvin. And that's top lighting them to give you this right here, right? You get that shape on Brett's cheek here from the top light. The thing that's difficult about that is that it is kind of flat lighting Caitlin here, which is not super ideal. So I wrapped the 600 Ari 650 Fresnel and bounced it into this wall back here in this direction, which brought more level to her, because otherwise she would have just been keyed on this front facing side, which wasn't super flattering. So that's where we're at for this shot, right? Again, if I had more time, if I had more resources, I'd really want this wall to be just down further. Like this level back here is what I would have wanted the wall to be at. And that's just about control. That would be about probably using a different style fixture and skirting it so that they're just, so that you have an overhead light, like a light mat, and then you skirt the sides of it so that it only falls where you want the light to fall. Like it would fall on his face, it would fall on her face, and then everything else would go dark. But that just wasn't what I had available to me at the time. So we were just running and gunning. And I actually do like the quality of light that's happening on him. I'm really into. I would relight this scene for Caitlin if I had a chance. But I don't. But we're still going to Slamdance, so I'm grateful, Okay, so this is the coverage of John O. Wilson. His key light that is happening right here is all coming from the 300X, okay? And then look, you can see now why I wanted to try and put the Christmas lights in there to create depth as we were shooting along in the coverage. And unfortunately, they were LED Christmas lights. I wish that I had the old school like tungsten ones that had filaments, because you can dim those down, and I wish that I could have dimmed them down so that they would be more at a level of what these are. And these are like practical lights that were like, this is like a big painting that's just in the bar, and I like the level and color temperature of those twinkly lights versus the Christmas lights that I brought. But again, we were moving really, really fast on this. This film is about getting it accomplished and getting it done and letting the writing and acting and performance tell the story. And not that I'm trying to shirk my responsibility. I obviously want my images to help elevate and tell story. But part of it is also just getting it in the can, and we did. So as you can see, again, 2-foot tube hitting him this way, which is giving you that sort of daylight balanced. At the time, I don't know what the practical reasoning for that is, except for we just wanted a little color contrast. Like, is that moonlight? I don't know. We didn't really have time to discuss those things. Again, we were able to get location. I was able to go see it one day, and I think like we shot the next night. So we didn't have a ton of time to do pre-production or planning or pre-visiting or any of that sort of stuff. So I think that you can see, if you look closely in his eyes, if I remember correctly, we took a small like piece of cardstock and just placed it in the middle of the table to just bring a little bit of return back up on him so that you could kind of catch a little bit under his eyes. I'm not sure that it was tremendously successful, but it was something that we tried to just bring a little level back. Because when you top light people, they get your eyebrows, like create shadows over your eyes, and the places like you want to see them, right? You want to be looking into their eyes. And you want that eye catch to be able, that's what kind of gives people the glint and charisma. This character, it's probably fine that he doesn't have an eye light because he's not the kindest or the most earnest or sincere character. He's kind of being a jerk. So I think it's okay that his eyes are a little unlit, if that makes sense. Okay, great. Moving on. So this is the coverage that I was able to get for Brett. I think this coverage ended up working quite well. Like I like the quality of light that we were able to get on his key light, which is hitting him here. You can see how the shape is coming from the top light of the 300X. His chiseled cheekbones cut that off really nicely. We also backlit him, back edged him ever so lightly to create a little color contrast and depth. Again, if I'm being particular, which I should be, because that's the point of this channel, is I wish we would have had time and resource to cut this. Use a cutter to cut that off of the wall, because it would have been much more appealing to me if it was this level. And if it was this level everywhere, our eyes would go immediately to him. Again, I would have, if I had control over the LED Christmas lights, I would have dimmed those down, but they're not dimmable. But yeah, this is just the overhead light and 4-foot tube background. That's how we lit it. This shot is the coverage that we shot for the third character, Caitlin. And this is, I think that it's very clear that this shot was the one that was the most difficult to achieve. I think that's being kind. And that is because she's being front lit by the 300, and that you can see that because that's creating the shape on her nose. So the fixture is probably actually like more like right here where she's positioned in the booth. Which is fine. Like you can do that. This is like a top lighting. They create a butterfly light if it's straight on. That's like a very old school way of lighting female characters. If I remember correctly, it feels like we pulled the 2-foot blue tube over here to bring in a little bit more level to give a little bit of key light here and some more fall off here. And you tell me whether you think it's successful. I think I would do it a different way if I were given the exact same opportunity to light this. But again, not to make excuses, but this is a thing where you're shooting at 3:30 in the morning and you only have 2 crew members, and I'm also gaffing and shooting, and we're all just figuring it out. We're just making films. And so this is a specialty shot. This is the final shot of the entire film. This one's really straightforward. You can see the 300X in his eye right here. You can see the eye catch. Look at that. Love it. So that's what's keying him right here. The 300X, again, with 216 diffusion gel slid into the spotlight gel holder. Over here, still have that 4-foot blue tube, which is just creating this cast right there. And this was a specialty shot that we did a zoom in on his face, and it ends the entire piece. That's what I shot this past year. First of all, are any of you guys going to Slamdance? If so, find me, say hello, come see our film. I'd love to see yours too. Let me know in the comments below where I can see your films. Let me know what you think. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below if this was helpful at all. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening and building a community around this. I'm super grateful and really excited to continue to go on this journey with you. Let me know if you have any questions about what I was talking about specifically in this video. Let me know if there are other things that you want me to take a look at, if there are other films, or if you guys have any films that you guys want to send my way. I'd love to take a look at them, and let's just start chatting. Let's keep the community going. And I'm grateful to you all. Happy New Year. And yeah, we'll speak soon. Cheers.